They responded to you idea.
My name is Saida Rachel, environmental much. Serving the capacity of the networks coordinator, pleased to be here.
Yes, team for advocate is my name. I work with the coalition of sustainable development, but also I'm here one of the renewable energy skills on network. That here. The next person.
The next person, colleagues that have just joined.
Yes. Colleagues online, you're most welcome. My name is Robert Fiachra. I'm the executive leader admin. I'm very glad to join this conversation. Thank you.
Yes, I am. My name is Augustus. I work with the People Plus, and I'm happy to be part of this discourse.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rutum Nampima from MBD.
Yes, most welcome everyone. Chena Musai Manuel. I work with Emily.
Let's have the online participants introduce. You can unmute and you tell us who you are, the organization you are.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kadogo Beatrice from URP. I'm happy to join.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Mlindwa. I'm from Chitara Civil Society Network, Eastern. Good to be here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chembo Shamira, and I've been working with Qatar Women's Poverty Alleviation Group, supported by WWF. I'm happy to be here.
Next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Lalovo. I work with MD.
I see Rita. Another person to introduce, I see areas Edith.
Good afternoon. My name is Elias Asimwe. I work for Kima Foods.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
I'm Edith Muhindo. I also work with Kima Foods. I'm happy to be part of the meeting.
Thank you so much for turning up for this meeting. Like I already introduced myself, I am Christine Mahusa, and we are here for the meeting to frame the advocacy priorities in natural resource governance and management. Noting that despite the existence of a strong environment and natural resource governance program, implementation of this still remains a challenge, whereby it is very weak, particularly ecologically sensitive in the ecologically sensitive Albertine region. Due to the limited possibility of laws, the coordination, but also the inadequate accountability mechanisms. But despite these challenges, we note that joint advocacy is very important. So as Emily, as one of the implementing partners of WWF, we've been supported under the top together for people and planet projects to implement a project that is ensuring equity in natural resource management and also governance, taking into consideration rights-based conservation and the inclusiveness. We want to jointly develop an advocacy plan that working with the different civil society networks. That is why for the introduction, you could have noted that we have network representatives. Here at national level, we have the ENR, the Environment and Natural Resource Civil Society Network. We have a representative. We are also working with the Climate Action Network. They are not yet doing this, but we also have the Green Health Network, and we also have the Renewable Energy Network, and FMNR network. So these are networks that we are going to be working with at the national level, but we want to link the voices from national to the local level. So at the local level or district level, we have the civil society hubs through which WWF works to implement the strategies for the environment conservation, management, and governance. That is why we have also the representatives of the hubs, the same you will correct me if I'm not right for some, where we have this one being the representative. We also have the Result Hub, where FEMA is the representative. We have the Southern Wing, where everyone is the representative, and we have the Halilu Hub. So the intention is that as we collaborate together, we are able to identify advocacy issues that can inform our advocacy plan at all levels. And that is the purpose for this meeting, so that we come up with advocacy issues in environment and natural resource governance and management. But not only coming up with them, but we want to prioritize them so that at a later stage, they can inform the joint advocacy that we look forward to have as an output of the Together for People and Planet project. I want to thank you so much for coming up for this meeting. And I look forward for good deliberations on having these issues identified and also prioritized. So before on our next agenda item is the remarks by Emily, but from what I have shared, serves as the remarks. So we shall proceed we are going to do a Mentimeter for all of us to share. We are going to share a link so that each one of you can identify an environment challenge in your area to help us moving forward, identify an advocacy issue around it. So for the people online, we are going to put this in the chat. Okay. So the Mentimeter is not active yet. So I request that you just put in the chat for the people online and the people in-house, just get a piece of paper. You share an environment challenge around the governance and the proper management. Across, it can be national, it can be local, and be global. Share any key environment challenge in your area. You're all encouraged to write because I have not seen studies and for some people.
Like this.
for you to say that.
Child share that. Send it to me. My email, I get my discount.
Two.
That's what multiply.
That's for them.
Did you say what?
She says one now for you. So I can help us do this. Shall get down to me. Yeah, well, it's shared. Yes, we shall say exactly. So I am going to request the robot who are here to type this. So that we see those that have repeated. I didn't get the assignment. Rita, the assignment is that you share one key environment challenge in your area.
Okay, let me just make it.
moderator.
As we proceed to our next agenda item, which is our business review.
You have the
On overview of environment and the resources of that discussion. Is a presentation that is to be done by Robert.
Thank you. First, I want to apologize, Chair, for joining a bit late. I will not have the opportunity to know who are online, but I hope as I'll be presenting, I'll be able to know. Chair, as you notice or you recall last time, it was agreed that we share, we look for a governance expert to give us a framework on the state of environmental affairs in the country as we frame our advocacy issues. And this presentation is intended to catalyze the exercise you have undertaken. I'm yet to see the issues that have emerged. So my outline is as follows. I will give an overview of a catchphrase now, which we call the triple planetary crisis, which we will superimpose on the issues which have been raised. I will give an anticipation of the environment challenge based on a couple of national reports, including the State of Environment Report of 2024, the midterm review of NDP3, and the annual performance report of government, and then why that environment challenge, and then I will do a dive into the child project Emily is implementing under TOP. TOP is a program which is being supported by WWF, and Emily has a child project she is executing, which is known as SECAGA. So without further ado, what is the planetary crisis? So ever since 2005, after the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, the world has not done a comprehensive assessment of environment. What UNEP does with the World Environment Outlook is the status of how the environment is. But a number of institutions like the Yale University have come up with a number of assessments to assess the state of the environment. The OECD undertook also an assessment on how the planet was standing, and it concluded that there were three key issues or crises which are disturbing Earth. One was biodiversity loss. Two was climate change. Three is pollution in all its forms: plastic, air, water, land. And to sum it up, these triple planetary crises interlock, or they have a feedback loop. For example, climate change drives biodiversity loss. For some of you who read the Emily assessment in Greater Virunga, and I think the WWF climate change assessment in Kasese, you will see that due to the changing weather pattern, there has been a change in biodiversity across the different horizons. But also, the loss of natural ecosystems triggers also climate change. Take an example for colleagues who work in Bugoma. When you convert a bigger chunk of Bugoma, that means you have disturbed a certain habitat for some species. Now, when you disturb this habitat, one of the key materials or species you will be disturbing will be the tree composition. Now, as you are changing the land use of Bugoma to maybe sugarcane plantation, you are literally losing that forest part of it. And when you lose that forest, you are losing the carbon sink potential the trees that have been there were doing. So you can see climate change drives biodiversity loss, but also loss of biodiversity is affecting carbon sinks or is affecting some of the lands which absorb our carbon. And you know, every time you deforestate, you end up emitting carbon dioxide and other gases. We did a study still under WWF, and we assessed how much carbon we emit per ton. And we forecasted, at least for a number of years, I'm yet to confirm, but I remember annually forests were emitting between 3 to 9 million tons, Junior? 3 to 9 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. And if you take the deforestation rate we used, you'll find that it is even more. Now, when you come to the interrelation on pollution, I've said air, plastic, chemical, water, all these damage ecosystems, and they end up harming our wildlife. But also we know that there are some pollutants which contribute to climate change. I am happy to inform that this NDC 3.0, there is a specific pollutant we are including in the NDC. These are called short-lived climate pollutants. They also have the similar climate impact because they include methane and they include black carbon and others. The interesting thing is that for them, they don't stay for a longer time in the atmosphere. So the OECD assessment summarized that these three were the key environment issues affecting the world. And for any effective solution, you should not address each of these issues alone. We should address them in an integrated manner. And now that's why you see NDCs are shifting scope. You'll find now the NDCs have components which mirror the NABSAP 2 or NABSAP 3, that's the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. That's a national report prepared by NEMA to respond to issues of biodiversity loss. You'll see that among these pollution measures, like the SAICM, strategic approach to international chemicals management, the mercury pollution action plans, and so forth and so on. You'll find that we'll have different interventions in a country's NDC. So I am certain that from what you have, the exercise you have been doing, some of them mirror what the OECD found out. Now let's come to Uganda. What is the environment challenge in Uganda? So this question was attempted and responded when we looked at a number of national reports and a number of assessments by some civil society like IUCN Red List, the State of the Environment Report, OPM's annual program review, and the sectoral annual performance reports. The reality we found out is that Uganda's environment and natural resources are under immense threats. I think a number of you will concur with our finding. And these threats are manifested in three things. So you can see how what we found talks with the OECD assessment. Deforestation, water pollution, biodiversity loss. If I take you back to OECD, you'll see that biodiversity loss is qualified, water pollution is qualified, deforestation implies climate change. So that shows you how the assessments also we conducted mirrored the OECD assessment. And what drives these threats? Population growth. I think the last census, we are how many now? I think we're around 49 million now. We're around 49 million.
My family is not part of that.
And remember,
There were so many people who are not counted.
Who are not counted. But in a population also, you use that adjustment. So, but anyway, we are growing, though I'm told the fertility rates have stabilized, thanks to education. Urbanization, we are one of the rapidly urbanizing major cities in Africa, Kampala. And all of you can tell, if you move around Baskerville, if you move around Wampeo Avenue, if you just come here in our Chanja, or Nansana, the greater metropolitan, you can see that the increase of concrete versus the ratio of soil is really fast growing. Oh, colleagues, can you hear me? Colleagues online?
Yes, we can hear you.
We are hearing you loud and clear.
Thanks. Thank you. Our urbanization, like I said, is one of the most promising, thanks to the NRM government. Economic development, our economy, if you have seen the projection, we are growing at 7%. I've never understood that economics. This is not to tell us what is in the 7%. But I know in the tenfold growth strategy, we have been promised a double-digit growth from 50 billion to 500 billion US dollar. I wish I will be there to testify when Uganda becomes a 500 billion economy, more than in Nigeria and South Africa combined.
With oil and gas exploration,
The current Dubai is at 7,000 GDP per capita income, which we are focusing to achieve in the next 15 years.
We will be there. We'll be there to witness. We'll be there to witness.
Yeah.
That is in the next 15 years. Indoor air pollution is roughly estimated to cause 13,000 premature deaths every year. This is because we are using wrong cooking technologies. This is because our friends all over Uganda are using poorly ventilated accommodation. We are losing those voters every year. By the way, that is only for the prematures, but also there is the adult population that is dying because of air pollution.
China
Wait. So you can see. When it comes to wildlife, where I know one of the partners in this room fall, especially our colleagues in the hub, illegal wildlife trade is on the rise in Uganda. Unfortunately, when we have the strongest institutions, we have the utilities court, which is headed by Lady Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu, what many of you call the Environment Court or Wildlife Court. When we have the UN Office of Drug also doing a lot of awareness, assessments, but painfully, there are some clans in Uganda who would never see their totems. The pangolin is projected to extinct in Uganda. Anyone of you who knows how Olugave looks like? That small animal, which looks like a squirrel, but it's covered with so many scales. Chinese trade so much in pangolin, it is believed it eats scales. If boiled and crush them, you don't age fast. So if you don't want to grow old, the African grey parrot is also almost extinct. Lions. I don't know how many of you have seen a lion in the last 5 years. Oh, you are lucky. Even in Entebbe Zoo to see a lion, I'm told you have to move during some times. So, I last saw a lion when I was a university student in Queen Elizabeth. Yes, I want to be honest. I'm a father of 4 whom I doubt if even they have ever seen a moving lion. So the lion population is on a steep decrease. We know, colleagues, which are adjacent national parks. One of the most case backlog in the utilities code is the poisoning of lions. So that is the status as of 2023. I don't know now. They might be even in 200. Remember, lions do not give birth as often like dogs. Let's come to what we know, the usual things, wetlands. Each of you who comes below Karamoja, you have a wetland in your district or a water basin. We are losing 5,000 hectares of a wetland. Put into simple mathematics, that is 7,500 square kilometers. Meaning, do a square kilometer, move north to Kampala Road, move south to around Kawempe, and then take that area, multiply it 5,000 times. That is the wetland we are losing. And this was as of 2021. Remember, there has been a trade order, which pushed the people from the roads back to nature. I don't know if you understand the logic. People had come on the roads to trade. Now they're being pushed away from the roads. They have run back where? To nature. And that is the reality. People have to survive. Forests. We are losing 78,000 hectares annually. 78,000 hectares annually. Over the last 33 years, we have lost 2.5 million hectares. We will be doing some work on forests and NDCs together with WWF again, and we are going to engage colleagues in Semuliki landscape, that is Kagadi, Chikube, and the surrounding areas. You know, there are some special natural forests there, which we are really interested in. But the reality is, if we are losing 78, yet we are planting less than 10,000 hectares. How do we meet this challenge? Now, put this into perspective. We have environment police, which is recruiting almost 500 plus. We have our beloved Uganda Wildlife Authority with its rangers. I don't know how many they are now, but I think they're in 1,000. Then we have the usual enforcement of police, UPDF, and others. One wonders, why is it that as strict enforcement is on the rise, degradation is also on the rise? What are we not connecting? Next. So, as we understand what are we not connecting, we seem all to agree that environmental degradation continues unabated. Yesterday, I saw how, I think last week, we saw how evictions were taking place in Rubiji. And the other places, someone would ask you, why the selective application of the law? The other one asked me, but Robert, not their chief. Why is the Rubiji so special? And one reminded me, do you remember that is where you put a seawall? I said, I remember I see a seawall. But that seawall was supposed to be constructed as lagoons. That is why it was put there. Natural filtration. I don't know if that is the plan now. Maybe Mr. Inji, you are the one who uses the road so much. You would tell us, is it still lagoons or we have paved the whole wetland? But that will be something. We know that other places, strict enforcement is also taking place. But there are three reasons our assessment came to look at why environmental degradation is continuing. One, land and resource rights and awareness. But the paramount one is the unclarity of the land use rights and the resource rights. The issue of rights in Uganda, whenever I talk about rights, people jump and think you're advocating for gay rights. I don't know why everyone thinks that awkwardly. But if any one of you has bought land, you would know what we are talking about, land rights. Now, we shouldn't forget that the majority of land in Uganda is customary. We shouldn't also forget that most of the prime land in Uganda is Mayo. And then that means that most of the land use rights are informed by either someone who is given a lease or as provided by the Constitution where we have Bibanja order, bona fide. You own Kibanja, you have a landlord, there are some things you can't do. Or by your interest. Policy distortions. That's where we are going to put a lot of our eye in the Sekada. Weak regulatory and governance arrangements. The question is, are they really weak? Or it is some of us? I'm told the tough minister is back, who doesn't believe that everyone is a frog. We are yet to see how he's going to talk to his friends who have already become amphibians. They were mammals, now they have become permanent amphibians. So, as we are known, Uganda is known for legislating. We came up with a very good article, and I say a number of people in this room. Let me see some of the people online. Gaska was instrumental. in providing the ENRCSO network input on the National Environment Bill. I remember we traversed so much of Uganda when we were soliciting input for this Environment Act. Section 27 mandates every district to establish a district environment and natural resources committee. However, 2 years ago, we did a spot assessment and we found out that most of the districts were not complying with Section 27. Most of the districts had not filled the structures of the district natural resources. But then the other controversy we came around, a number of districts had the district disaster management committee, which are not legislated. These are just policy responses, but they are active and function. The ones in the law are not there. Then we said maybe when we make laws to make ourselves comfort. The other thing also we came around is what happens to the district environmental committees that were established by the 1995 legislation. What happened to them? Did they cease to operate? Yes, that act was repealed. But the structure, some of the structures, they are being taken away. So one question I was asked, and I want to ask all of you in this room, how do we seamlessly transition the DEX to the DENRCs? Knowing that the composition now for the DENRCs, much as we are supporting with the regulation, is another complex creature. It has RTCs, parliamentarians, CAO, chairman, so it is a chintably. Talking about policy distortion, we know that we have environmental policies and laws, but they continue to witness misalignment between policy development and implementation. One wonders, why don't we talk to each other? If some of you remember when we lost the speaker, do you know we never had a transition provision? Things were handled with the force majeure. I always remind the colleagues that Uganda is not a country which doesn't have a caretaker. The president runs through, and all the transitions, I think in how many minutes? 1 minute or two. Some of you who watched when the president was swearing, the flag was coming down. As it is reaching down, it was going up. So why do we have these policy inconsistencies and laws? How can we imagine a scenario where we don't have the first four: President, Speaker, Chief Justice? What does the Constitution say? We have the lawyers. So if you don't have a Speaker, Chief Justice, and what? Who takes over us? Is it still the military council? But you see those policy inconsistencies, and you have very beautiful brains with lawyers. But why don't we forecast a bad future already?
Supposing they all die at once in the
See, that's the thing I'm saying. No, supposedly they all become incapacitated. Who manages Uganda? You see? And the constitution is silent. That is the same lacuna we have where decks are existing, partially functioning, but they have to comply to the new District Environment and Natural Resources Committee.
But we have forest committees at district level,
Uh-huh.
which is provided for by the law.
Yes.
They are non-existent currently.
So you ask yourself, what went wrong? Policies and laws related to environment and natural resource management have been devolved. I liked this. This was an assessment we got from Kasimbas. Has been devolved in a disjointed manner. What does that mean? That yes, while it was in the good gesture that decentralized environment management, actually local governments were not given the instruments of power and authority. That is why power remained where? NEMA dictates, and that's why it created the position of an environment officer. Not recruited by the district. Yet the district also has a position of a district natural resource what? Now you wonder. The environment officer talks to NEMA. The district natural resource officer talks to MWE. But all of you are working on the same resource. Then you find a district has an environment officer, but it doesn't have a district natural resource officer. Where it has a district natural resource officer, it doesn't have an environment officer. Where both are there, they are not talking to each other.
Actually, they prefer to be district environment officer
than the district natural resource.
Yes.
Because they don't want to be boxed by the chairman. So, and these are things which continue. Then you find that we say environmental management is decentralized. But when it comes to orders and the means of execution, the roar from the center is stronger than actually the landlord down there. Then you wonder, was it Bioya Byanswa? And then we all continue to love it. I love how we say environment management is a decentralized function. Yes. But was the decentralization followed with the resources and the capacity which was required? By the way, if you have seen, there has been a mass exodus of former environment officers across districts joining NEMA. Have you noticed? Especially in the greater Kampala. The colleagues we worked with for the last 10 years, many of them, I see them now in NEMA. That one we will assess. So, for us as Emily, as I conclude, we have observed that yes, coordination is weak. The authorities or duty bearers are not talking to each other, like the hostile takeover of WUA from NFA. And the lawyers are quiet, I don't know. My brother Robert. WUA took over a certain forest from NFA without a clear due process. Without a clear due process.
And that is still a forest.
Eh?
Not a national.
You get me? Without a clear. NFA is rapist. Who is keeping land accommodating our forests? Yet that land is not under Uganda Land Commission. So who is going to be the custodian of that land? And the ministry is not a body corporate. Because you would say it would go back to the ministry. But the ministry is not a body corporate. So it can't go into what? Owning. But these are smaller things, lawyers in Uganda, especially environmental lawyers.
Now, now with the rationalization of NFA, most of forestry land now is going to be a hanging fruit.
Obviously, actually, I would entice our colleagues in Alberton. Better put that all forest land where you have concessions of planting, caveat. Because if you don't caveat, remember you are the one with the interest now. You who is planting, and a human being is a corporate body. You can sue and be sued. So caveat the land because you have a planting what? A planting concession. A planting agreement with NFA. That agreement has never died, much as NFA went away. So sue, go caveat that land, protect it. Because if you don't protect it, someone else is going to take over that land. That is free legal, paralegal. So we also notice that CSOs, the engagement we have with authorities is fragmented. And not only fragmented, it is always consultative. But I want to consult. We don't collaborate. The only organization I recall, which was called what? Collaborative what? There's an organization which was starting collaborating. Among those colleagues who used to do community forestry. There was an organization around the 2005-07, which started as, its name started with collaborative something. Yes.
That lady is in.
Now you are reminding me.
She's originally from Sheni and shifted to Mubende. After the husband, there was a disagreement with the husband, and later she shifted to Mubende.
Oh,
yes,
But you remember that organization? Yes, it was the only organization whose name was collaborative. So policies and laws frequently fail to reflect local priority. That is why the exercise you have undertaken, and I request the chair to show us what the colleagues in the hubs have said and what the colleagues national have said. And we see if we are talking the same thing, or one of us is upside down. Therefore, this child project undertook intends to strengthen CS engagement and influence at national and local level. How we are going to do that? Through such exercise we are doing, building capacity to shape policy processes, safeguarding civic space. The last time I recalled, Gus, you made me step down from being the representative of NGOs to the board of them. We sent a lady, served the 2 terms, never looked back.
Disappeared.
The last time I had, the new law changed the composition. We no longer have direct direct ticket to the board of NEMA. So you can see also we have to blame ourselves as NGOs. Some of you, when we push you up there, you forget you see the ladders which took you. I remember it was the ENR which recommended, and you signed. You made me miss that superstitious position.
Actually, that lady was a little bit of gender consideration. She was a lady. And we thought she would do us good.
But she killed the very basic civic space we had. She erased our direct position in the board of NEMA. But she was a board member.
How did she didn't advocate for her space?
How can you be? How can you be the board member of the organization which removed your ladder?
She destroyed herself out of it.
She destroyed herself.
How was this question now?
You see when she
We are no longer in the board of NEMA.
You see when
Now we only go there for consultation, not collaboration.
when she got there, she somehow grew in status.
Yeah.
But she became the deputy
The deputy chairperson.
Yes.
of the board of
The board.
Hey.
And that was,
Yes.
which was one of them.
Because naturally, from civil society, you have a strong voice, a big constituency.
When did they remove that position? When they were reviewing
In the
that,
act,
They were reviewing the act.
and she was also part of the review process.
Yes,
And then she did report back to us.
she did it. When she was
You need to consult the constituents.
so those are the problems we have.
but also we were not, at that time, we were not properly organized.
Yes.
Environmental alert was in district officer again,
Transition.
was having leadership change. From Dr. Zaki to Lawrence, to Janet, to the current. So there was a lot of confusion.
Leadership.
And
That's tough.
and the chairman.
That one would be a misrepresentation of facts. Because our representative in the board of NEMA had no connection with the host institution arrangement. The mandate was for her to represent our interests. Unfortunately, the interests were never presented.
But there was also no checking. There were no checks for her.
We used to check on her, but she was ever smiling, saying everything is good. So through promoting meaningful participation and fostering multi-stakeholder engagement with the duty bearers. The reason why we are making this convening is to be at the same level of understanding of issues. Now, when we go and start engaging our duty bearers, the NEMA, who are now the new big boy in a forest and natural park, we have a basis of talk. But the first thing we need to know who is owning these titles of the 576 central forest reserves. That is a question.
What is the question again?
Who is in the custody of the 506 central forest reserve titles?
They are not titles.
They are what?
They are forest reserves. They are not titled. They are not titled. Any land that is titled is outside the forest reserve.
But we had the titling exercise of the ministry.
You see, forest reserves are public land. They were gazetted in years between 20 and 30 1920, 1930.
1923.
Some actually were gazetted later, 1960 something. But all of them have boundary plans as the document that proves they are forest reserves. So it is that person that keeps the forest reserve boundaries that we should be asking those questions, not who is that custodian.
So you are saying we should be asking the neighbors of Naman?
No, the forest reserve boundaries, the boundary demarcation plan, which is kept under the Ministry of Lands.
This is going to be interesting. We are going to discuss. So for us, what we expect to do?
They don't have titles.
Over the years, thank you, to agree. Do we need to advocate together?
Yes.
How and with who? With what message? A campaign on climate and environmental governance. What Gusta is talking about, if really there are people who are vested with keeping our public goods, what plans do they have, or do they show that really they are keeping these public goods? The last time I saw a number of local forest reserves being one of the list keeps dwindling. Local forest reserves are the list, but they keep dwindling. You get me? Perhaps there are no management plans for these forests. Anyone who has taken initiative to find how many districts have up-to-date forest management plan?
There are no district forest management plans for local forest reserves. All of them are outdated.
Now you can.
All of them are outdated.
Yeah.
For the 506 central forest reserves, until recently, they were within the range of 50 to 60.
So that's 10%.
Management reserves for central forest reserves.
That's 10%.
That's 10%. But the others were in the process of developing, actually reviewing the management plans. Those management plans, actually, the historical management plans exist. But where? In London. If we
Are you taking us to 1900?
No. So between 1950, 1960, we get their management plans in London. So if we want a reference of those management plans, and we want a reference of the boundary plans which is in the Ministry of Lands, you can get that from the Ministry of Lands, get the management plans original in London, we compare notes and we ground truth.
But before you do that, what is pushing local government to degazette?
That is total corruption.
These are the things.
I know of a forest,
these are the things.
I know of a forest reserve in Shane. Currently, I was doing a study for Apple, and that study has been published, I think. There is a forest reserve in Shane, which is mismanaged, which is degazetted under illegal and corrupt tendencies. It is still on the map. People know it, but the ownership has changed from local forest reserve owned by the Sheni, but now it is under private hands.
We are going deep. So for us, we are going to first look at 6 districts: Kagadi, Kasese, Soro, Virizi, Bushenyi, but not that sub-county you are talking about, and Mitoma. So I want to say thank you for your audience. This has been just a catalyst for the framing. For more information, that is us. Thank you so much. And I want to hand over back to the chair.
Thank you so much, Robert. We deserve So, Robert raises a number of issues in the slides, but also number 2. And it makes a lot of questions in the presentation. One being, why is environmental degradation at a rise, and yet enforcement is also increasing? Because environment policy. So that is a question that we need to consider as we explain our advocacy issues. How do we advocate for effective enforcement? Then the other question is, how do we transition from the district environment committees to the district environment and natural resource committee? Because currently, our efforts are in ensuring that we have the district environment committees in place. And we are collaborating with them to have this established. Through, of course, creating the legal instrument, being the regulations. So how do we have this transition from what the structures that are already in place to the new proposed structures? Then why do we have policy consistencies and noise? And who is the and how can you advocate? First, the question is, do we need to advocate to give? It is something you can answer for us. Yes. I only hear one. We don't need to.
Our voices are stronger.
Yes, yes, it is justified. So we need to advocate together. And then the question is, how do we advocate together? Can we, maybe we can have a quick responses to that. How do we advocate together? The people online, you can feel free to put in the chat of how we advocate together. And then with who, if we are to advocate. You've heard the genesis of this is that for us, we want to work together with the networks. We want to create that link between the national and also the local, or the one being the civil society hubs that interact with the community. But in your view, is that sufficient? Or there is another way we could advocate together and the different actors that we need to work with. It is something you can think about and respond maybe as you give feedback to the discussion. Then the other issue, as we presented, also touched on the drivers. And you know there is a challenge of if we deal with the impact without dealing with the root cause, it becomes a problem. So it is better that we start with the drive. Of course, we have the main driver that is indicated is population growth. I don't know how we can link this with proper environment governance and then the high rate of then the economic growth. Of course, if the population is increasing and urbanization, economic growth also comes into play. And then the encroachment on the natural resources, because natural resources are source of livelihood. So it is something, and these are some of the questions that we need to think around, but also now the main issues that you highlight are biodiversity loss, pollution, where he mentions poor cooking technologies being one of the big causes of the indoor pollution. So we need advocacy messages around the promotion of green cooking. I know so many programs are coming up, and if we have a full reduction in the Ministry of Energy. So we need to frame our ideas around these challenges. Then the other is climate change that you also need to consider as we frame our advocacy. So with that summary of what has been presented, I open up the discussion. To all of us, you can give feedback on the online people. I hope you can clearly hear me. At this point, we are asking for feedback on what has been presented, on the environment challenges that have been presented to us by Robert, and moving forward, how we can frame our advocacy. Teresa? Okay. In the chat. Online, can we have any submission written?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Christine. I was trying to write, but I thought my words would be more than what I would write. So yes, thank you, the presenter, on the issues that are hitting us, and I'll say that I'll say like 99% of what you said is true, and we have no say as we who are on the lower scale or lower levels of governance. So this therefore means that we need partners to advocate for us so that we have our voices heard. In the advocacy, yeah, he talked about the District Environment and Natural Resources Committee. I remember there's a time we tried it out with you, Emily, but I think the composition was too big for us to handle or to mobilize. So that is the biggest area that we need to work on, so that we have the committee reduced, because the people they put on, as the presenter was talking about, was presenting, they seem to be bigger than the local government is budgetary lines. So it is to reduce on these the composition, and majorly for, I think, most of the challenges that we have within the hubs and the duty bearers that we have, and especially within the local governments, it is the funding gap. Every now and then they show that they are increasing on the funding, but still the bigger percentage remains in the center, which shows that the center will always do less work, the local governments will always do less work, and they are the ones on ground with much money remaining at the center. And you talked about the people to whom how do we advocate together? Yes, we need such engagements. We need to have position papers. We need to have to join these. I just have a thinking, I don't know whether it is right or wrong, because I'm not so much into politics, to have certain platforms where these voices or where these position papers can be presented to. You people who are at the center, I think you know them better. And even the policy makers, I think there is a committee of natural resources or environment at the parliamentary level, and when we have such engagements, I think we would have something to push. I see honorables pushing the bills, pushing some papers for approvals, pushing the edits and what. So maybe through the ministry, then to the parliament, to have certain issues being presented to them. Then yes, with who? I think with the ministry to the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources. That is my assumption, that we shall be able to push some of our issues to be heard. Other than that, I think without enough funding, we have the staff. I must say that there is enough staff. We have the CSOs are there, they are on ground trying to work, but also as a CSO, if you're working, trying to work hard, you're planting, I'll just give an example like Katara or URP is trying to plant maybe 100 hectares, and you see a duty bearer is always in office or seated, not working because they don't have money. So you just feel, you don't feel generally, you feel cheated as if government is not doing their right work. So we need to advocate for more allocation in the funding, and then also push for review of these regulations so that we can easily they can easily be operationalized. I submit.
Thank you, Rita. Oh, Rita, you mentioned the regulation. Which one?
Yes. Yeah, number one, we have the National Environment Management regulations, the Wetland, Riverbank, Lakeshore regulation of 2001 or what? That one I think needs to be reviewed, and then also the forest regulation, though it has just been reviewed, but we have the statutory instruments that has fees and those permits, fees for permits and what? And licenses. It is long overdue, and that also becomes a challenge that increases on encroachment of forest reserves and even forests on private land. So when somebody sees we have a lot of fees being paid, for example, from Rubirizi to Kasese, you pay the same fees as somebody from Rubirizi transporting timber from Rubirizi to Kampala. So I suggest that that statutory instrument for those fees should also be reviewed.
Okay, thank you, Rita. We take note of the who, the how, and the recommendations that you made. Is there any other submission from anyone online? I have seen one from Edith. She also agrees that jointly we need to develop the decision papers. This is the how. And we discuss this with the district political and technical leaders. And also the district council, we can start from this level and then we move to the national level. So it is a suggestion is to do a bottom up. Okay, do you have any submissions from anyone online?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Beatrice Inikisoro. My submission is that when he was presenting, it all showed that there are those committees that are just on paper and they are not active, like the Forest and Natural Resource Management Committees. Those committees, is there any way we can maybe advocate so that these committees become active? Because, for example, when he said that, for example, the District Disaster Management Committee for Kisoro, for example, it is very active and every quarter we meet. But what happens with the other ones, which are already by law that are supposed to be there? So is there a way we can also think about reviving those committees to be very active? Because if those committees are not there, are not added actually, how will we make our advocacy issue pass through maybe to up to the policymakers? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we need to advocate that the existing committees that also be functional. Learning from the disaster. We have any other support? Okay, in the chat we have, I say we need to establish formal CS posits on regional environmental committees. Which are the regional environmental committees areas? Hello? Areas, can you unmute and let us in the regional environmental committee? Or you wanted to be the district committees? Okay, I think you get one. Samantha has also submitted. Thank you, Mr. Machifa and the team. I'm liking the thought process and believe with collective effort we can be able to ask the right questions. I agree with Edith to start at the local level. From our experience as doing what working with communities, we see that there is zero experimentation found on what is in the law, or what is in the law is not what is on the ground as we have identified. Starting from the district level. So Samantha is also agreeing to what is submitted. The bottom up upward. So we need to start with community engagement, and then we move up. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasika, for this presentation. My proposals are well weird. Yes, and they don't follow any structure. First, I am thinking in order for us to make an effective change out of this process, we need, first of all, to identify areas of power. Which powerhouse are we targeting? Are we going to target the ministry? Do we have support from the opposition? Do we have people that are disgusted with the way we manage natural resources and are able to be part of us? Can we align ourselves in the upcoming leadership year? Can we strategically position ourselves to be understood that we are for environment and natural resources, and this is what we want to see? Slowly but gradually, they will appreciate us. We don't go mainstream to central government. The way government now works, it won't work. It won't work out with the government. I think we have to do smoldering, a little bit of smoldering fires, working with the entities that empowering them preparing them to appreciate us, to appreciate what we are saying. I don't know whether people understand me, but if we, you see, there will be nothing done differently. We have been talking to the current government. We have been talking to the current government about the things. It has not been said. We have to use another tactic. I'm not saying that we should go full blast against government. No. We should rally for support in circles that that share with us, that have the same feelings with us, to excite upcoming leaderships. Where we see is the movement still going to take us further in the next 10 years? No. Another post will come up. Are we prepared to bring that on board? To prepare it, to understand that management of natural resources is degenerating? It needs to prepare itself in. I think.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, Mr. Chino.
Otherwise, if we just do, we shall spend our money at the same things. We go back to some lamentation.
I don't know what Gus has said.
Yes.
Just exactly saying the thing. I think it makes fragmented efforts. The NR does their own thing. UASD does their own thing. Those fragmented efforts. So differently this time around, like you said, if they are joint efforts, the parliamentarians have been sworn in already. They usually give us an opportunity as CSOs to book and meet them, and then we table our issues. So this time around, we can go there together, having prepared a presentation and engage them. There's a parliamentary forum on WASH, then there's a parliamentary forum for climate change. Yeah, a couple of forums in the parliament in line with our in our other sector that we can approach this financial.
Getting aware that Parliament is new, it will take us a lot of time trying to teach them.
So we have to invest in them.
Yes, we have to invest in them. We shall be repeating the cycle. Yeah. We did a lot of training for the parliamentarians, and now we are going to spend money to teach them again one more time. And then when they are ready to become party as graduates, they go back. So we get those forces. For example, if we identify the cliques in parliament, there are those new guys who are sensitive on environment and natural resources. We get them. There are those peer review, sincerely peer review. We target them and talk to them about environment and natural resources, the way they are managed today. How do they prepare themselves to, and then the mainstream NRM, we get them those vases. This is what we have done value.
You are protected. You are protected. You are protected.
We tell them things have gone bad. To this level, this is how bad we are. That will give us an opportunity. Different voices will have others. And definitely something will slowly but smolderingly grow out of that effort.
Thank you, Gasta. And really, it's critical to identify power center. We are going to be doing this identification here, such that we live knowing where to speak. I see a hand. Anthony,
The first one though is what is CESACA input, give us an acronym. The tracker, the child, the project child.
The child project.
The child project. But it wasn't my question because I was wondering what the exercise we did with Christine was for. But I think the first thing is to agree on those joint advocacy issues and they should be more simplified or form. Otherwise, it will be overstretched. Then you can them that we don't have to say so.
Thank you, Anna. Antoinette?
Yeah, still coming down. Members have raised something. This one sounds the parliament issue. The FCC has been well, there's four
PFCC.
from the committee.
Is it still there?
It is still there.
But it's died.
The new one now.
The structure is there. They have got its own issues.
Maybe they not like the owner of the soccer host. How you personalize that. No problem when you form the committee, the parliamentary forum remain there more first existing but not existing.
There's some structure there.
It's not a residual.
So that residual structure has been trying to out. Have some engagement. Civil society. So this takes out of that. We talk to local. But if now set the agenda, that's the safe. Now we need to set the agenda. I think that agenda element could have already been set in terms of the advocacy priorities. So once it's set, we now have formalized it. Get the people that get the parliamentary committees. Also, you see the political changes in the last and there will have some representation. The committees, you know them. So we also take advantage if we have the funds. Most times we say they don't have most meetings. So take advantage and post, say, meeting of the night as a ministry to the end of that. Then we still push our agenda. Then now we so take advantage raising these issues at that level. Since we already have an agenda, set which numbers from that, I think there were issues of what's not happening, why things not happening. I think that advantage, what going to the is we have like 6 of them, local governments. But then there are local governments, some people from finance functions. There's a structure in the town. I don't know how they are going to deal with it. Because there's some influence on how these districts work, local governments. And they are relevant to climate change, environment, and stuff. So I think we could have some interaction with that committee. It's a fixed evolution. Because it takes a lot of decisions which are implementable and which are governed. So we could work with them and raise funding. Then from there you work down using this little field that we have, because we really have some.
Thank you, Anthony. I think you seem to concur with Xavier about structures, local government finance commission, military groups like PFCC. My worry is, wouldn't this be old wine in new bottles?
Well, maybe we change the whole game.
How? Because Anthony, for you to engage an MP, you need to put 500,000 each for him. You need to look for a fancy hotel like Serena Resort people, Momunyonyo. And then when they come, they are ever on Wawawa, please. By the time you are speaking to them, the agenda, they are running WhatsApp groups. Remember, they are now fighting for committee position. And then standing committees versus statutory committees. Do we go for committee on natural resources, which is farm there, or we go for the sectoral committees like climate change, WASH, and other? Because also you have seen when they are doing these memoranda, I don't know if you have been reading the assessment of Parliament. Especially these so big committees with RAP and OPAC, which has not finished any inquiry. You see, I don't know if we interest ourselves. We always want fire, but we don't want to see how this fire is stopped or where it has stopped. A number of these accountability committees have been reported not to have concluded their inquiry. Remember the Bank of Uganda? Anyone who followed it up? Where was that additional pellet which was put on the plane and it was not part of the consignment? So I tend to bend towards the Gasta. And Anthony, you have been in advocacy for these younger boys. Are they called the stubborn activists? The one who do disruption activities? Remember when Gorilla these guys had to sit on top of a plane at Heathrow with the banner running that stop jet fuels? I know in Uganda such things cannot work, but they are new power center. You need to test. One time we were made to go to Lira. I think it was NGO forum. We went to Lira to see the big man, and I can tell you, I'm sorry to say, if Richard does not hear me, we spent more money eating and feeding. But even when we met General, he first fed us very well. That the issues now started mingling with the food.
As expected.
By the time we were meeting the General, everyone was carrying a gift bag. And I want to be honest, I also carried a gift bag. But we never talked the food issue. That was around 2009 when all the way he had put comfort in a certain forest local reserve in Arua. Huh? Remember that?
Yes.
There was a time we went in there to speak to him. But the delegation which first went took pictures first. When we followed, perhaps we were well fed and the gift bag. And the general came to address us, thanked us, encouraged us. And I remember I had moved a certain organization I don't want. I just cried for my party. I've been here for 4 days. Please pay me, I want to go home. So, what am I saying? the approaches we have been seem not to be. If I can consolidate the position paper we have written the last 20 years, apart from a few where we have taken it at personal level to push your view in a policy or in I can tell you from 2010, if you get a code policy, you call them what? A code briefing series. Those briefing series used to publish. A code spent, I think, almost 5 years advocating for tree fund. And what finance did, I'll never forget it. Actually, it's one of my best reflections. After making so much noise on a tree fund that it reached everyone, including the president. One financial year, government just said 5 billion allocated for tree fund, period. Ministry of Water even failed to retrieve the money. Because the structures even to use the fund were not yet there. So the budget read a tree fund, but the release was 0. And the tree fund remained on the budget paper, remained as a budgeted item, never realized. So you can see, but I remember we spent how many years on the tree fund? 5, 6.
5, something like that.
Then they give you the thing you're advocating for, even you don't know where to start from. So I think I tend to agree. What are the new ways? Colleagues, we have seen that I like this new MOP. Yeah, namere stock on. So we need advocates with stock on. Because we have seen that the old stock is not changed.
But we still talk to the old stock.
Yeah, but you see, we are in a new normal.
Yeah, the new normal should not forget the old normal.
But you see, the old normal has locked us for almost 20 years.
But they still have influence.
Maybe okay, we will see a blend.
They still have influence. If we are talking the new normal, don't forget the old normal. You remind them this has gone wrong, but you prepare the new normal to go ahead. That these people have neglected this sector, we need to think otherwise.
So let me phrase this as we brainstorm better. And colleagues online, feel free. When you do power mapping, you tell us power is at the center. But we have seen at the time ministers also handicapped. Tell you when we you get it. We have had the issue of budget. I think ever since we launched ENR and TANU, by the way, for some of you don't know, these 2 networks were launched in the same year. Though Anthony wants to believe that he was big one. So TANU was launched in 2009, ENR was launched in 2000.
But ENR was a little older.
ENR was older informally,
yes.
But we are talking of launching, formalizing.
Right.
29. So, since 29, we need to agree. Do we really need to do the same stock of advocacy? Can we? Do we still have the billions of failing MPs to cops? Tell us now the new stocks of advocacy.
No. Sometimes I don't do the old work. Look at, I'll just give you an example. let's call dispensation now. Yeah. Who are now holding every form of document. And now they look at this.
The one that.
The whole area, whatever this you know, this guy is there, something comes from that side. After it comes, you are able to see.
So should we seek an event with the PLU or the state of environment?
We need to understand the structures of the area. Who do we engage before we spoil? Who do we talk to?
Yeah.
We want to rock over.
But it's
better, they're also very good on environment. Yes, I follow some of them. They are using it as a launch pad in some places. So there are some elements which favor us, but like Augusta says, I take his advice very serious. Understand where exactly it's the name.
Point noted. Second option before Anna and Richard.
No, that's one, yeah. Is it recognized just beyond that? Pull up and is there a strategic plan? Is it registered? Is it what? Is it formal?
Anna now is bringing the go.
No, because then even you don't know, wonder how you're going to just a loose group of people who want to take over the government structure that they don't have theirs. What kind of advocacy is that?
That is the marking Anthony is talking about. Augusta is recommending we need to start it. You never know, we have not started them. There might be a body offering.
They registered party. They registered party.
Over to you, Richard.
Yeah, I think on that very note, I think we shouldn't get wallet. I'm neither PLU or any other one, but I think that if we take Parliament as a starting point, and critically, and from now look at Parliament how it unravels, because you see there's one big powers that are stated as that Parliament, and PLU is there quite strongly, I think from top. I agree with you. You agree with me? PLU is very, very strong from top. So the thing is, like, if we understand where the power is within Parliament, then it might also help us to move out with this program. Because some of these people, they are not being movers from the traditional ministries. They are not real movers. So we really have to be very careful and take advantage of their presence inside Parliament. Then outside Parliament, that's where I have a problem, perhaps. But in Parliament, I think I can count on that because they are really not moving things. But before we even lose it, the local, what Samantha said, I think I agree with her. The local engagement. Local engagement is very, very important because as we talk now, we talk at this level, but then at the local level, we have new leadership who are equally in the same situation. Actually, some of them are PLU, one, and some of them are eager to get things moving. So in mapping power, we also have to be very careful in mapping the six districts. Where is the power in some of these districts in Shane and so on. So we really have to understand that that's landscape very well, because that is when you have a successful campaign based on real power centers that we would have identified. And lastly, let us not forget our ourselves. I think at the start you mentioned the enhancing CS capacity.
Yes.
Where are we? We have bruises. I think I can say that. We have bruises here and there, but we are many and we are not dead. So the whole idea is how do we get the CSOs internal strength, internally strengthened to support this campaign or this program. In our own situation where we are bruised on the hand, someone will be on the leg, but then we can come together and make an effort as a collective. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Before I hand over to the chair, I saw a hand. ENR, CSO
I
network.
was just asking, what about, okay, we could also consider, looking at the unorthodox avenues of, sending out our messages or moving out our campaign. For example, when you look at especially young people, knowing that almost most youth have access to platforms such as TikTok. I don't know what your thoughts are. It can build quite momentum for our efforts. Especially for the young people.
There's something. We are still doing
Yes.
Okay, because there are many power centers, there are the official, the political power. The ones we just moved. And we now know who they are. What to do when it comes to it. So we know who they discuss. But then there are other power centers which are from the United States. You have very influential people down in these places. They are very powerful.
Who are they? Mention.
And they don't mention by name, but I know if you come like to, let's say if you came to Mali, to go to this region of ours, we have some individuals who will listen.
Influencers.
Influence, opinion leaders.
Yeah, that's also.
So they and they better together. They are very good, reasonable people there. First, they own a lot of land. They have a lot of power. They work with politicians.
Yeah.
Then you have the church, or the religious institutions. The traditional institutions, they are not as powerful as there. I think the religious institutions again have a lot of power. So the influence they nowadays, so engaging them, make some changes possible. Because they will have the money. Also very powerful. Then there's a lot of interest from the private sector itself. And we are big investors, especially because sometimes what you propose here, if they are not in line with it, they will say they will oppose. We should. Even when the Kabila campaign, someone will succeed. But you know what happened? They get the document with figures, this Minister of Finance, or it's when the president and that thing collapsed. But when someone succeeded, you guys were buying it. Some extent. Yeah, so they to map out who the big investors are that side, and they are now very business heading the that side. Because the mining sector is growing. If you look at say soil, iron, copper, thermos, whichever. Tourism, we also very many stars. Now, this was again sometimes an opposite. There are those who want the resources, the tourism guys want the environmental governance to function properly, because that's why they make their money. But the mining guys, them do exploitation, so they want some max to be able to bypass some restrictions. So we need to map out private sector players. Sometimes we even have money to buy, you know, if they're interested in, say, what you guys want, make more money.
Anthony, I'm going to cut you short as I hand over to Christine to take us through this closing and whether we have met the objectives. But I think these are very bright and brilliant ideas. I've seen Rita saying that from the way things are, the higher you go, the hotter it becomes. that you are grassroots thinking, yeah. But as we go up, though I like the two ways, influencers, opinion leaders. That's why I'm saying stock from here versus all the stock. We have seen that when something takes, you call it a storm on the social media, TikTok or what, there is how it drags everyone's attention. And whoever joins want to know what is about that stuff. I've seen how people are using the media apps to raise issues. And then you see actions.
You initiate it.
So, for me, I think the idea of using both, but also I noticed in civil society we don't have good people communicate. Lawyers have their language. Robert has their very big WhatsApp group with actually every duty bearer, isn't it? Every duty bearer is there. You see, that is the beauty. When you talk of platforms, I think now the social platforms are there. But we are talking about this. We seem not to bring in the duty bearer. Have we lost hope? Have we lost having audience with Emma? When my friend passed on Okurut, I don't mean that Akankwasa is not my friend. But Okurut, I used to work with between so-called. One of the things we had worked on, I told you, open up constructive criticism. And we had worked on an environment platform before. And the idea was, let's have a regular dialogue with the youth. Free thinking. We criticize you, criticize us. You get it. I don't know. I see Robert interacts closely with them, operates their activities. What's the feeling? You think the member today? I know they have the district support, new people on the block, new blood. Are they willing to organize? To have a free discussion, no formals. Talk about state of environment, give us your side, the CSOs leave their side. Interact with them, don't undermine them, curtail them. The same applies to the new ETO. Why don't we talk to this person? Sometimes I think also we stereotype people. You say Anna is bad, but you never talk to her. But you just know that Anna is a no-no sister. Doesn't want to gamble, that's bad, it's so bad. She even doesn't wave. Yeah, you know, we have people like that. They don't want you to wave, smile, do what. So if you do the contrary, you are bad. So for me, I would think the old style, go and knock on the door. And then we see, what if we might be saying things out of context? But I know we used to have the NFO. Is it Mugisa? You are so cunning, Michael. You would plead innocent, down to earth. Actually, one time you almost nailed, saying, you people, you are saving me. You don't know what you are doing for me. I'm here for you. We are happy. But yes, Christine, over to you.
Just briefly. Thank you so much, Mr. Chief. That was a good suggestion. I would suggest that it was possible to share with them about the success and digest it further to really pick up those flagship areas that really pick up. It is true that you have, as you said, that it is one that we need to sort of reinvent ourselves, sort of remake and purpose and model our approaches, especially with the new the new normals. I'm happy that we said all of us are starting to appreciate that there is a new power centers emerging. That we must really recognize that. So, in light of what you talked about the IDNEMA, personally, I've engaged him at the personal level. I've also had the opportunity of being with him on the same panel and also on the same media. So, yes, of course, people will have personal differences, but at the end of the day, really, we are pursuing the same ones. I have a training appointment. One of the ideas that I want to share is exactly what she has raised. Having periodic engagements with civil society. The reason why you see him always respond to some of the concerns that come up on the platform, that when last time I met with him, I told him that there's a lot of issues coming up out there, and there's no really serious response. Yeah, okay, response is there, but it's not sufficient. So if people hear your voice, then it becomes really much better. So I think that once the appointment crystallizes, even inform me that you actually have some people come along and speak to some of us, maybe a team of about 5 to 7 people that go and engage with him. Then we suggest to him of how periodically we can engage, not with him as a person, but the leadership. I think it would be really a good way of doing things that we can be able to cultivate constructive relationship, harmonious working environment, but also to make people understand us. Because like I said, there's also a lot of misconception that's really emerges. The other bit that my sister has raised is the issue of leveraging young. You've been the observer, have been very deliberate in focusing on that the demographic, the young people. Because yes, the digital evolution, digital migration is the way to go, is a new way. I don't know how all of us, how active we are online, but I can tell you that the real world is online. Someone said real life is online, not offline. Yeah, so we need to be deliberate in punching out a lot of environmental information out there in the digital spaces to be able to critically influence the state of affairs. You could see, they talk about the 10-fold growth strategy. We have an opportunity there. The issue of natural resource governance is at the center of the Uganda's 10-fold growth strategy. But also environmental resources. I mean, personally, I should say that I'm happy that the honorable leaders come to our ministry. Honorable some deputies was very good, very exceptional, but you don't need as really, interesting to, be as more aggressive as he will be. So I think that with the coming of the honorable we can take advantage of that. Personally, I've got his contact. I've already given him a call. I'd like to meet him, to brief him first at the personal level, but also tell him that we are as civil society. Because I've already been engaging him when he was at Internal Affairs, but now as a civil society fraternity on the environment, to tell him what we are doing and also bring him up to speed about some of the emerging issues. I know, of course, it's also very professional, but we must learn how to hug a porch pine. There's a book called How to Hug a Porch Pine. Some of you already, you must know he's our minister. As he, so when he was bringing down the Ghana's house, he said, please, what if you're not thinking about it? Possibly name them as the minister. So I think that we need to leverage that power to set the not yesterday. And then the last bit, as you may be aware, colleagues in the room, I had the opportunity of chairing the environment panel as the speaker, the environment panel. It was really one of my, what to say, it was really my idea, but really, some colleagues that said we need to put a space where we can strategically and constructively engage Parliament, both the parliamentary forum on climate change and the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. As the Minister Wachika said, the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources is a standing committee. That has been doing some work from the time of the Honorable Emmanuel Mutara to now Honorable Herbert Ariko. Herbert Ariko came back. He was much closer. So maybe someone else might come. The Honorable Emmanuel Mutara was defeated by the new speaker for both of us. So we need to now see how we can now strategically. So we shall be having a fourth session of the environment parliament coming up this year, later in September, October. So I think it's a hanging fruit and a good entry point. Because the truth of the matter is that we must be deliberate in building that relationship. And the environment parliament is an opportunity. Personally, being part of the team behind it, I think we could be able to use it to populate the work that we are doing and also be able to strategically influence around it. So maybe as environment actors, that's a good entry point.
Thank you so much. We really take note of the stakeholder that you will talk about. So we are on our last year dinner item. The way forward. These are the issues that have emerged. So I want us to pick two. From each. So the first one, under institutional and financial constraints, we have coordination of environmental management by ministries, departments and agencies. So that is different. For coordination, some issue. Then there is an issue of unclear, these are the issues that you submitted. Unclear roles and responsibilities in forest management and governance, even new arrangements. So new institutions are emerging, and we don't know the names or what. Then there is an issue of financing of environmental initiatives. I think this ties in with the industry, the limited resources to implement. So there I see 2 points: coordination using financial resources, and also understanding the rules. Well, I want you to pick which two we should verify in the wrong time.
I am going, because of number 2, I meant institutional minders, not institutional minders. For example, NFA being minded within the society, and therefore there is confusion of the staff at the regional level, who is responsible for what.
So from each subsection, you want us to pick two. 2 or 1. You can pick one. Let's pick one. So, but when you say finance and coordination, as for me, all the issues in this case, if we limit ourselves to one, but we can pick the most pressing.
What's the
So which one? Financing?
Before you go on, what is the best and put up as a product? We have unfinished business that we perhaps need to understand. The public service review. That's why I don't know whether it is complete, and the reflection of what is described at the local level. So as before we start saying this is the one, I will be sure that the process is complete, and that it might not bring in new dynamics after completion. So I'm still not clear whether we should do. Because it is on its own, it will then it is the other that we will call it. It will give way to the model of financing that we want, the decisions that will literally be put in place, and so on. My view.
Okay, so you suggest me explain firstly that we need to bring understanding.
I'm actually confused whether it's finance or institutions, because the other one is not complete yet, to my understanding. The institutional review, the public service review. Unless someone can enlighten me on that. You want to yeah, you.
No, so from this,
Public service.
the 4 points here. Which one weighs more compared to the others that we need to front and build around it?
Okay.
3 and 4 talk about finances, so that is one.
Yeah.
Then I think we can input 2 with 1. Because the anti-arrows and what, it goes back to the MBAs, our ministerial bodies. These are my thoughts.
If we are very clear about the public service review, then I will forget the entry, that is saying the entry.
What is it that, what is?
What the single body restructure. Yes, but if we are very clear about it, then I will go for 4. As described whereby a number of you of the roles and responsibilities given the arrangement. If we are very sure that this is what it is called. It's clearly there's a lot of gaps.
Make sure they get when you look at, for example, like right now, a total shall be that speaks the presentation of the budget. Ordinarily, the budget is not supposed to be presented until the certificate of environmental and climate compliance is presented, which is supposed to be issued by the Minister of the Environment, Minister of Finance. And there should be a participation of us with the 15 areas that are supposed to be reviewed to show the climate of the budget. You know, where the money has been approved, climate disaster response and all that. You know, 1 or 2 weeks to the day, nothing has been done. So that's an area that we actually want to go in. So the issue of they need to have implementation of existing policies, and it's very, very critical. So I think we could merge 3. We could merge 3 and 1 because there's lack of
Yes, I actually think 1, 2, and 4. Okay, so let's go.
No, first, what I see here, the framing of those 4 things, equal, you kind of have 4 issues, kind of mixed up a lot of stuff. I mean, same things, but present them different.
So that is why I'm saying.
There are 2 points. Is what natural?
I think this is the discussion will be which one, where is our entry? Because if we say what is which is the entry and the best way to get in coordination or finance?
We need both.
I know they both are right, but where is the entry? Okay. Yes,
So we have the coordination, institutional minus, yes.
Okay. Yes, but not of that.
Under enforcement, we have the weak enforcement, inclusion of vulnerable community, sustainable energy and production use of solar energy.
Enforcement and enforcing
Weak enforcement is the point. And political interference. I think we can say financial resources. That's money.
Yeah, that's something else. Natural resource management. Yeah, so as you write that, you remember, I think there's been some support, I think there's an investigation of the presence of the environmental policy, social policy enforcement. They know the police. You don't have the environmental police, eh? You actually have an entire commandant enforcement within by a major, major Karamaji, you know, EPD, and then also have commandant police, the commissioner, police, now commissioner police. charge of environmental police. So why you see this out of power, no? That is sort of like started joint operation. So
Are those trained in
that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. But also, I was just going to say now, Myanmar also has its own paramilitary, what that you actually recruit. You are supposed to be for. So now for Myanmar, you're for police and you're for army.
Those are the ones causing the destruction of wetlands. Those forces. Get out of the system.
So the enforcement instead of being instead of being that's what I'm saying.
So are they a bit
for you to be involved in the enforcement, you have to have some requisite, minimum training to understand some of the enforcement actually further destroying the ecosystem.
So Robert, the point that you should, we need to strengthen enforcement. How is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Among others.
Yes.
Strengthen enforcement.
Is it strengthened? Is something that also be professional
from your submission.
But that is now you're splitting the work. Because that's what we're getting to. But overall,
It's about enforcement. How do you improve the enforcement?
Coordinated, it should be coordinated.
Skills development,
Human rights based approach.
There's a lot under
all those things.
There's a lot under enforcement.
Yeah.
So we get to that way.
The reason the past year for me, Madam Chair, the reason the past year, the person appointed remember the water has to what the environment day. When
The enforcement training.
yes, 100% recovered was the distant plan. It's a ginger. We could also pick and even popularize the moment as where is the whole civil capacity building. Because if we are going to enforce in the religion, they should invite us and we will be there.
Okay, that is well there. I think there will be one point. Then we go to land industrial.
Because you know what they enforce.
That's also the best way.
Because the enforcement is at the last stage, but the policy is clear and understanding by the people of the process.
I think that is why we are saying we strengthen enforcement through dissemination of the enforcement methods. Also awareness. Policies are training. On policies,
Yes. Because if we take it from that point, we could also take maybe as an action point. If we go and visit some of the areas where they have reported the enforcement, so the ecosystem has been disrupted and nothing recovered. You know.
Then we have land, we have the issue of land conflicts. The issue is conflicts. Then also plastic pollution, waste management. And people like pollution, the waste pollution. Waste.
Pollution and waste.
Okay, so we said pollution and waste management, 1 point.
You enforcing the principle
Sitting in alignment that the second
Because police needed to open the places to support people. Pollution is one of the beings under the police system. Climate change, but so people.
Yeah, but for the case.
Actually, what is very critical to talk is this land.
Yes, I do see.
Land conflict causing.
Pollution causes land degradation. Okay. Pollution and waste management, waste management causes land degradation.
Yeah, that is for you in this home, but for other people, you can tell you maybe the rights. Land,
land conflicts.
It's,
So that is like if we.
so
It's about climate analytics.
Remember when there was that conflict where there was some disagreement with one down west there, then they said no, now there were issues of land acquisition. Somewhere somewhere it goes in the
Well, putting hopes, look, we need to mean like this.
Okay. These are what.
Yeah, before you take it, there's I looked at the other.
This is advocacy, the climate.
Climate change and ecosystem threats.
Very big thing.
Yes, it's about nobody talked about it for wildlife. Wildlife,
So what is the?
how we are losing wildlife by diversity loss, issue of human wildlife conflicts. You know, the number of people being by wildlife is on the relationship increase.
But also it also depends on the five districts that you're talking about. So, yes, wildlife is important. But wildlife frames, what is the, where is the entry? What is the best entry that can, get everyone ears up and listening to? Is it wildlife? Yes.
Guys, we are remaining alone.
Oh.
I think you need to know. The online team has dropped. We have only remained with Rita. The rest is us.
Yes, me, I'm still there.
Okay.
Me, I'm still there. Yes, I'm following.
Have an additional reform. What's the theme that we're talking about? Because now you have also one way. And it just starts to start like that.
Yeah, they are thinking of their disease.
Because you see here, you have to frame it. Sometimes. No, frame it somehow to move with sometimes the global agenda. Get like find globally everybody is moving in this direction. So even the language matters a lot. You have something different. That's my point is. You look friend. Is that a successful?
They need on the language.
The others will be left alone.
That's not.
Yeah, but also in light of what the research said, the stock in peer doctrine is also be disruptive. Because also we so much want to fit in, also it comes to
It's the interest of
business as usual.
which our friend does. When we have full time, how can we advocate? These are the suggestions, these platforms. These are the suggestions made, engagement with ministry. This is benefit of an environment. Because we have that parliamentary committee, the national service, communities, district committees,
But I suggest a national youth council. Yeah, but we can create a vibrant. It's organized with the life. So that's because it's
we have also the issue.
you put it forward.
Yeah, I can say New York City.
So by CSOs, we also meet the coalitions and networks, are they working that CSOs?
CSO networks and coalitions.
Then we have another way of how is to do the step of analysis. And this is where we look at opinion leaders, political leaders, private sector players.
I would suggest you put cultural institutions increasingly getting very close to Ghana. Madam Teddy, very well. Can leverage that example.
I thought you got him, Chang, when you said you're increasing.
But it's so. Then we have another engagement with the. This is very important. The PM.
No, I think you say engagement with strategic groups. Don't say with strategic. I even call them strategic groups. With their hand. Uh-huh.
Then we have the UPS institutions.
Where did you put political parties? Political
parties and social and political groups. Don't be expressed. Because the groups were other. No, only where you put peer in there. We're saying specifically you may say.
This was okay.
Yes. Yeah, you said the political parties.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes. Political party and pressure groups. Of course, they are. Pressure groups.
Then we also have UPS institutions.
Yes.
Then we have social media.
So on the other, you put the IRC, you put the other, the religious council and the joint. Yes, it's a good general usually it's very progressive. And you actually even have you actually the Church of Uganda established now and religious council and the what is it called joint mission. Yes. This is joint mission council.
Then we also have engagement where social media engagement. Everything that you do.
That's okay.
But it's just first going afterwards. But you also put expenses. Also put expenses. Expenses. Or you always say expenses. Expenses.
X capital X. So that shows you are not on them.
Expenses. Yeah.
You are just talking.
So, yes, they're not conclusive, they're not very well explained. But these are some of them, review the forest regulation and this performance and license, engage with political groups. Local engagement is of government governments, to establish a system of CSPC. Then to remove the approaches to integrate the new person.
Ah.
I think it's a formatting as well. It's stakeholder and formatting.
I'd like to say something strong. When we later on to see when you're looking at let's go back up to the table. The special interest groups, yes, we have the usual ones like the usual gender vulnerable groups, but we also have the temporary residents in our country. We kind of host a lot of refugees, so we should also add a lot of our mind into them. We have so many people that they rely on their natural resources because of the population. So I think we also need to capture that input and the special interest groups.
And indigenous communities.
I think so.
What about I think we mentioned businesses and we mentioned very sector. I think both sides of this point. That after person. And
like this one, the forest, what they want timber, exporters and.
Thank you so much. That's actually still going on. Tonight's notes end. So it is a impact. So that's we are closing this session. I want to question so share this. Once it is defined, we should share. So thank you so much for your time and for the insightful ideas. that is provided, which we believe is going to guide the implementation of the project and the engagement of the different groups that we aim to work with. And we look forward to our opportunities. Let me request Robert for the next steps and close officially the meeting.
Okay, can we first clap for ourselves? So first, I want to thank ourselves. One, we are still alive.
Yes.
We have walked a long journey, Timboa. I remember there was a time when you look at a list of environmental NGOs, you will see UEEF, URCD, UC, Uganda Coalition for Sustainable Development, UCSD. Then you will see environmental. UCPL is which one? Then after you will see Pro and now. Actually, there was a time when any environmental consultation without NAP is not an environmental consultation. But I'm happy today we meet as members of this network, share, respect, and agree we still have a joint union. And that gives us positive momentum. It gives us the vibe to continue to work. This time around, we really want to do something where we are going to measure ourselves. That when we met at the Serra, this is what we have. This is what it has culminated. This was the status quo. This is why we are giving you these statistics. The current rate of degradation, how is it, which are running, and by the time our campaign comes to an end, we have some pointers to measure ourselves. Now, we have been looking at the framing of advocacy issues. We have met you, the networks. We now intend to do two key things, and we will still give priority to networks first. The first action, we will now initiate a situation analysis on the operations of our hubs, that is in the Albertine. There are 4 hubs we are working with, to see whether their respective planning documents speak about issues we have highlighted. Then for you, our network colleagues, we want to engage one of you as a consultant to build what you have recommended here. Continue framing these advocacy issues between the hubs at local level and what you have flagged at national level in the context of natural resource management. You rank these issues, like Christine said, can we pick? Sorry. Like you said, can we pick? So, prepare reports, ranking them, and then prepare for us that draft joint advocacy plan, which will reflect what is at grassroots with what we have brainstormed. Then later we meet, discuss this output, and see whether it meant our what? Our expectation. To me, I think that will be a systematic way we are recognizing our benefit, we are recognizing our various vantage points. I know today you have seen some colleagues, like have Rita still online. We have a colleague, Shamira, who will be joining us soon. You will be engaging some of them at the hub level. We have first decided to start from the center, and then once we go so down the similar process, we will be mirrored. Just like this has been a prelude, and then we come up with some call joint advocacy plan messages, which will now shape our campaign. This time we don't want a campaign where they say, for example, there are some campaigns, if I read you the name of the campaign, you will know the organization. Right to food. No, it's a campaign. So you there. Exactly. Right to land.
No. Land something.
Alliance.
The Land Alliance. Yes. Land Alliance.
Anna, you no longer engage. I've seen. So we don't want a situation where the campaign is targeted to organization. That is the behavior we are trying to run away from. We are tired of the one size fits all behavior. Oh, don't talk about climate. Climate is Emily's docket. We need to talk. I told my boss in the analysis it would be bad for Emily, who was in the kitchen building it, remain a perpetual steering committee member. No, but it is growth. That's why we are committed to support CNRS for the next 3 years. And what we are trying to say is that we want prayer and give space whoever to have demonstrate with our comparative advantage. And this is what we encourage in a number of years. So from us, the next 2 steps are those. We are going to do situation analysis. And then we are also going to start the process of our advocacy strategy plan, mirroring what you have shared with us today. So if you see a TOR, which we are going to first share with all of you, and for those who would have shown interest, we are now more transparent than ever. Even we tell you the ceiling of the contracts of the consultants, so we are tired of negotiating. Low up, and then the Njawulo issue, I give you 100, return 30, no. So things really are so bad. I really feel bad when you squeeze a friend like that. So we really want to see that we move this together and do a campaign which we will all own and wish to associate with. So that said, I want to thank you so much. Hey, boss.
Last time, you said that for this next engagement, there will be specialists in communication.
There was that day, I thought Christy would explain at the start. The specialist we had proposed, we discussed the paper you saw, that was wrong. When he was wrong, this was disturbed. That was the governance expert. So that's why I took over the mantle. But I couldn't take over the mantle of communication. And also we didn't get proposals. I think there was miscommunication. But like we have said, we are going to move forward. Once we have this document, the expert now will want to communicate. So maybe at a subsequent review, if you have those experts, please communicate to Christine. Now let me be clear. That is one, what we wanted to do. Then we will ask for one based on the CV, which we would have agreed to come and take us through how we can use this to communication. So that one is still on. And lastly, I want to say please, again from Emily, we are so grateful. Thank you for honoring the bus. Actually, it was too short a notice. When you have these public holidays, which are in the middle of the week, they really are antagonized. But I am so grateful you honored and doing that. And the modest transport reimbursement is going to be loaded in our mobile money. Thank you and wish you a nice week.
Yes, starting point, I already suggested there's not when everybody post something about exit, or maybe call you, or maybe me, or maybe I want you to access that by supporting each other to push each other forward. You know, our campaign will have a lot of impact, generate out of momentum if it has a different presence. So let us be deliberate about pushing each other. If something comes up, please don't mind. In fact, even when the parliament, this what you want to see that there's some significant engagement. And when you feel that the following is very, very small, so it is very hard to measure the impact. You know, I kindly suggest. It's an executive way.
Downstairs.